A very warm welcome to this webinar from novomind about Microsoft Teams and the contact center integration. My name is David. I'm head of marketing from novomind, and I'm really happy to announce a co-speaker of mine, Mike Amerlan, live now from the West Coast of the United States. Hi, Mike.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. Excited to be able to talk today a little bit about Microsoft Teams. I work on the Microsoft Teams marketing team, so I work to support a number of different partners and integrations and capabilities built on top of Microsoft Teams.
Awesome to have you, and thank you very much for you joining at this early hour, because it's just 6 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast of the United States. So I'm really happy because here now it's 3 p.m. Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to have a very productive long day. So I'm looking forward to getting started.
Awesome. Now, for those who do not know novomind, a quick 3 slides about us. We are a software manufacturer for intelligent software in the areas of commerce as well as customer service. We've been doing this for 2 decades now. We have roughly 250 customers, and we're serving those with around 400 employees, the majority of them software developers. We are very strong national, but we are also international. We have branches in Paris, in Singapore, in Dubai, in London. We also are present in Alexandria and 3 different areas in Germany, which is Cologne, Weimar, and Rostock. We have a unique product portfolio. In the area of commerce software, we have with novomind iShop an e-commerce platform that allows you to run the best and fastest internet shops on earth. We have with novomind iPIM a product information management for enterprise product data maintenance. With novomind iMarket, you have a marketplace middleware that allows you to connect your systems and your products to the marketplaces of the world. And in focus today is novomind iAGENT, which is a contact center or customer service solution for omni-channel. So basically you can say that with the portfolio of novomind, you can allow customers to do shopping and have contact on every channel available. Now, don't try to pick up every name on this reference chart. The idea of this chart is just to show that we have basically a very strong presence in any vertical, let it be fast-moving consumer goods, services, banks, industries, etc. So let it be commerce or any services, etc. We have very good experience, and our software helps these companies to be successful with their customers. But now, for the topic of this webinar, why you should definitely integrate Microsoft Teams into your contact center, into the customer communication. And I've got Mike to give you a lot more details and very good reasons why you should do that.
Yeah, so Microsoft Teams is, the fastest growing productivity product from Microsoft in its history. Over the past 4 years, it's come to basically become this one-stop shop, this one hub for how more and more teams get work done. One of the things that we see is that for any type of work that your average information worker will do, 80% of that actually involves collaboration, which is, communicating with their colleagues, sending messages, scheduling meetings, building reports, all that kind of activity. Collaboration really is at the heart of it, and Microsoft Teams is designed to kind of bring everything together into one place so that people can go collaborate. So there are, of course, Teams calling features, the ability to make calls, the ability to schedule meetings, to do one-on-one chat and group chat. But then also for collaboration, there's this concept of a team where, as you have these virtual teams, every team can come together in one space, have all their relevant applications, have applications like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, maybe Planner and maybe some task management applications all together in one place, so that, throughout your day, whether you're collaborating to go find some answers or whether you're taking a meeting, there's this one place you can go, this one hub for all of your different activities. So it's designed with this integration theory in mind. So if you look at Microsoft Teams in terms of the growth that we've had and the set of users, on the next slide, what you'll see is, kind of the set of overall, we now have over 115 million daily active users. So, tremendous growth, of course, in 2020 for a variety of reasons, we've had a lot of growth in terms of the number of users that have come in. Over 1,800 organizations now have over 10,000 users. So more and more organizations have a substantial population of their employees, basically living and working inside of Microsoft Teams. On a given day, you'll have something like 200 million meeting participants just attending different meetings, joining in, those kinds of things, not just for inside of a company, but for virtual teams across multiple companies, or even, for example, for, let's say, healthcare scenarios. If you want to have a virtual healthcare experience, you want to invite your patients in, if you're a clinician or a doctor, more and more experiences are also powered through Teams, communication and the like. Now, if you take a look at the next slide, of course, in response to the pandemic and everything that's going on, the growth has, increased quite considerably over the past year. Teams is becoming more and more of a lifeline of how different organizations connect together. So, of course, 60% of colleagues feel less connected to each other because more and more people are working from home, working remotely, those kinds of things. Naturally, people are missing out on those hallway conversations, getting coffee, that kind of connection to their colleagues. And people use Microsoft Teams now, not just for, those work meetings, those status reports, those kinds of things, but also really just to catch up with their colleagues, maybe, have a virtual coffee, maybe, see what people did on their weekend and the like. And so Teams is, part of a broader strategy that a lot of organizations are using to basically connect their entire organization together. Now, even after the pandemic, after more and more people kind of return to their workplaces, we do expect that every organization, or a lot of organizations, well, 82% of organizations are going to have more flexible work from home policies. And so we're entering an era of hybrid work where people have more flexibility to maybe live in a different location, maybe be closer to their customers, maybe in different countries all around the world. And so a lot of the practices that so many organizations are building for virtual work on top of Microsoft Teams, we really think that those are here to stay, in the sense of being sort of really empowering technology for every organization to go use. So when we look at the roadmap, of the set of things that we're actually developing for organizations, we've actually changed quite a bit in the past 9 months to kind of accommodate this new normal. Things like breakout rooms, which, for example, I know my daughter, she has all of our classes in Microsoft Teams, and so breakout rooms are an important feature for school kids to be able to go and have like these little miniature projects that they go take with their colleagues. Of course, also important into the enterprise and business. Things like together mode scenes, we find that people are in a lot more meetings. People are spending a lot more time there, but it can actually be cognitively more stressful if you're staring at a video of yourself every single day. And so together mode is actually this way for people to see each other in a way that's less cognitively taxing than having a number of different boxes. So a lot of thought being put into what are the new psychological and sort of organizational trends that we're seeing, and how can we orient Microsoft Teams basically to go accommodate some of the new normal that we're seeing. One of my favorite features that we're looking to introduce, when you would go to the office, you drive home, and in that drive home, a lot of times it was very useful for people to kind of disconnect from work, to shift into maybe a home mode. They're sort of wrapping up tasks, they're leaving the office. Well, in remote work, people have less of that opportunity to kind of disconnect. Well, we're introducing a button into Microsoft Teams. We call it the virtual commute. When you're done with your day, you can click a button. It'll ask you to wrap up maybe any sort of last tasks that you have, and then it'll set your status so that you're disconnected. So helping people find more disconnection. Now, in the calling space, for contact center agents, for people who are connecting, we sort of support both flexibility to bring your own phone system, but then we also have Microsoft calling plans, so you can actually build your calling on top of Microsoft Teams as well. And we're continuing to invest in those capabilities, adding and updating our calling experience inside of Microsoft Teams, bringing Microsoft Teams to places like Apple CarPlay, so you can take your calls from wherever, but then also improving the capabilities for doing things like call merging, bringing calls together, doing different types of transfer capabilities. So we're growing the set of calling capabilities ever more and ever more, so that calling is completely flexible for how your organization can go, run through it. So that was a brief, overview of everything that we're looking to do. Of course, we'll, in response to your questions, and also be talking about other updated Teams capabilities as well. David?
Thank you very much, Mike. Great overview, and I'm really looking forward to all these different functions that you have on the roadmap. And I love every new release because there's always useful features popping up and making the productive work just easier and better.
Yeah.
Just on a quick side note, if you're still using Skype for Business, which is also a great solution, that will be end of life end of July next year. And the, say, natural transition will be towards Microsoft Teams. Personally, I use Teams so much in our organization that I could not imagine not having it as our collaboration tool anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think exactly what you said, the idea that new features are coming in, new features that respond to these new trends, those are all being invested inside of Microsoft Teams. So if you have Skype for Business Online and you want to transition, now's as good a time as any, and you'll get a lot of those good features and capabilities.
Absolutely, and I would just give the advice to say, to move earlier than later, because as you said, there's so many good features. I would definitely go for those. Now, what we see currently in organizations that have both the internal collaboration and an external contact center solution is that they're usually disjunct. So that means there's separate systems. You could say that they're silos, that on the left-hand side, where you would have the contact center, the so-called front office, they would get inquiries, they will get calls, they will get whatever kind of messages, but they're not joined with the Microsoft Teams internal team, where you have experts, where you have the right people to ask the right questions, which is really a shame, because then you basically a break in the communication, and then they would have to send internal emails, they would have to do internal calls, etc. All in the long shot, if we look at it, it basically leads to a worse solution, both internally as well as externally. For the external person, so the end customer, it usually means the bottom line, you spend more time getting your things done. If you have an inquiry, you have to wait for a call back. If you have to first, find the right person, it usually takes more time, which means the customer satisfaction will be lower, and the overall handling time is going to be higher. But also the internal frustration can be high, that if the call center always needs to has to use different means of communication internally to find the right person. And that can be as simple as not having a united phone book, where you can also search for attributes as you can in Microsoft Teams, where you can not just look for Mike, but I might also be looking for the financial department or legal department, etc. So these are all very simple things that sort of make it a no-brainer to connect those two things, which means
I
that
mean, with Microsoft Teams, sorry to interrupt, but we've always, tried to design Microsoft Teams with this philosophy of, integration is where productivity happens. So, a lot of times, all those little small integration features that save you maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of time, that's super important. One, because it helps you remain focused. If you don't have to spend 10 minutes going to connect to a separate system, you actually retain your focus and you can be more productive. And then, yeah, all those little 10-minute savings that come from the power of integration actually add up over time. We worked with Forrester to do some research. If you add up all the different ways that, applications that are integrated into Teams can save you time, you can save maybe, 1.5 or 2 weeks of time a year that you can focus on other things. And so, yeah, a lot of times it's all these small little integrations that can help everyone be a little bit more productive.
Exactly, and I would like to have those 1 or 2 weeks every year, plus the lack of frustration that you have by having to use different means of getting your message across.
Yeah.
So what, of course, is the plan if we integrate a contact center solution to Microsoft Teams? Well, you don't have to use other means of communication anymore. You can connect the one system, the contact center system, to Microsoft Teams. The important thing is you do not need to replicate licenses from the contact center software, but you have all your Microsoft Teams employees and users, and you connect them through one integration to the agents on the contact center side. So which is just nice, because the contact center agents, they have their application that they are trained to use, and you've got your Microsoft Teams people that know their user interface, that know which buttons to click, and the integration is very native and very user-friendly. I'll show you a video in a moment. So of course, what do we want to do? We want to invert all those pain points into benefits, right? That we can connect the external voice incoming to an internal member of Microsoft Teams. that we can also hand over information that the person of Microsoft Teams might not have. That we might have a lot of information stored in the contact center system, because it might also be connected to an ERP or a CRM system like Microsoft CRM or another system. And we can hand over this information via an integrated app in Microsoft Teams. Overall, what Mike just said, we can increase efficiency and simplify processes to be more efficient and gain more time to concentrate on the things that you really need to do. And also bottom center merging data, such as telephone directories, to make work just a lot more straightforward. So I promised you a quick video how that looks like. What we basically do is we call our contact center. At the beginning, we have an IVR, so an interactive voice response, where you're being asked various things. For example, select the language. So here, my colleague presses 1 for German, and there might be the question, do you want to have a call agent right away, or do you want to state something? In this case, we press 1, and the call is being put through. Now, in this case, we have novomind iAGENT in the background, which receives the call. Automatically, a call ticket is opened. Now the colleague wants to find somebody in Microsoft Teams to put them through. Now, what you've just seen, just pause it for a second, what you've just seen is that we also get the status information of the Microsoft team members, which is also a huge advantage, because you don't need to try putting it through to somebody who might already be on the phone, who's absent, etc. So by seeing that the person is available and with the green indicator, they know that this person is available to take the call. Now, within Microsoft Teams, as you know it today, you receive a call. The agent is basically now giving his inquiry. The information, you will see that in a second, he will now be able to do a warm transfer, as we say, because they announce, we'll put them through. And now with the integrated iAGENT app, they can also transfer information, as I mentioned, information that has been configured to meet the requirements of the client. So all of this, what you see here, can be configured. It's an enterprise software, so there's basically no limitations. So long story cut short, the advantage is not just on internal processes, but also, as we have our claim, customer focused, technology driven, it is about customer loyalty and customer satisfaction. Because what you can do with this integration is basically get customer needs done faster, to satisfy the customer needs. There's no need to change a channel. That means if somebody calls and I can't answer his call, usually it's, well, we'll get back to you via email. So I need to check my emails frequently. So, getting things done immediately, having basically, a first resolution done quicker. And in the end, also the shortened queue time, because if you can just put them through to an expert who can give you the answer right away, this agent will be faster available to take other external calls. That's basically the bottom line. How does a customer journey look? If we look at the process, you've seen it a little bit in the video, but I'll just explain quickly on this chart. When a customer calls, we can define an interactive voice response. That was the, where you click on your phone to give, for example, your customer ID, you select the language, etc., where you basically get queued up. Within novomind iAGENT, we have a skill-based routing dependent on the entries that you made on IVR. So language would be one possibility, your inquiry kind could be another one. And then if I know that there's somebody within Microsoft Teams who would be able to answer that question, I look it up on the directory, which can be combined of both novomind iAGENT as well as Microsoft Teams. I can then have a conversation where the caller is being put on hold. I might, as an agent, actually get back and with the right answer, or I simply make a warm transfer. Cold transfer is also possible, but usually that's not it's not the nicest one that you just get an external person through. And then the agent can do a warm transfer to a Microsoft Teams integrated person. It looks very simple, and it is. So that's why we've got this this implementation built. We are already listed on the Microsoft website as one of, currently we're the only German software vendor that actually has that listing. We're in the certification process. However, we can already build this solution as of today. Just real brief, we have a so-called customer journey also as a visualization. If you've got your client, your customer, your contact, then of course we can see on which channel, which communication has happened in the past. We can see which email has been sent, when a call was received, when an outgoing call was listed, if there was social media, if there was any kind of interaction. We've got this all basically integrated into the so-called customer journey. As this was supposed to be a real condensed and quick webinar, we are already at the end of this this customer journey, if you will. But I'll give you a quick technical outlook for the future. This is basically for IT administrators. This is not for the contact center guys. What this is basically supposed to show is our version 1, if you will, of the Microsoft Teams integration. That means you've got your contact center software, you've got a phone system, usually a hardware-based phone system, and we're simply making a connection from contact center to Microsoft Teams, which is already great because you have all the great takeaways that Mike was talking about earlier: efficiency, collaboration from contact center, as well as internal Microsoft team members. In the next year, Microsoft is doing us a great favor, us meaning not just us as software vendors, but as companies. They are opening a Microsoft phone system to basically open a transport layers, ultimately making it possible to get rid of your telephone hardware if you want to. If you've got your Avaya, your Cisco, your whatever system, we know that can be a burden because it is hardware that you need to maintain, configure, etc. And you could you can basically put your telephone system into the cloud and have it operated by Microsoft. Mike mentioned earlier that they already have these phone tariffs, or phone, how did you call them? The plans, the telephone plans.
Yeah, calling plans. Yep.
The calling plans. So there is the option to, let's say, slimmen your IT infrastructure and get rid of the hardware telephone system. This will happen somewhere in 2021. We are hoping for first half, but we'll see. Microsoft and we ourselves, we're going to keep you posted on this. And this is another leap ahead, because then we can really have an even more integrated solution where Microsoft Teams is not just handling the internal collaboration, but it's really your entry and exit point for telephone, for calling in general. That's it for me and for today. Mike, I really appreciate you being here as co-speaker for today. I put my contact information, but I'll leave final words to you, Mike.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I mean, I love the view of the entire customer journey. I mean, I think that gets right back to the heart of, if you can see all the information in one place, it saves people time, and it saves people having to kind of dig across, a number of different systems. The statistic that always stands out to me is that people spend about 20% of their time actually looking for and searching for information, which is, if you think about it, that's 1 day a week just trying to find information. And so, through novomind, if you can actually find all of the information in one place about the customer journey, like features like that are really quite great. And so I love to see that. And of course, the integration with Microsoft Teams, as that continues to grow as well. So, so many great things going on, and love to see that kind of integration that novomind is pulling off with, the iAGENT product and those kinds of things.
Cool. Thank you very much, Mike. And you have a long, productive day ahead of you. Also, thanks to Teams.
Yeah.
And I thank all the attendees, and I wish everyone a successful day and hopefully very healthy Christmas days and a start into a new 2021.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks everyone.